Tomorrow at 8, see Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey in Beaches. Then at 10:05, Joe Mantegna in Fallen Angels, The Quiet Room. And on Showtime late night at 11, 2020 Horror, Two Evil Eyes. See it on Showtime. Treachery.
I need good, clear photos of two men who are going to meet today at noon.
How strict are your journalistic ethics?
Freeze!
Deceit.
I'll wipe the slate clean. I'll give you the originals.
It's all been a setup. Everything I've written has been a lie.
Treason.
It's the kind of thing that could start a war.
You've done a lot bigger than this. Never Americans.
The one you trust the most.
This is about our country. This is about money.
You can't touch me. I'm the system.
Maybe the deadliest enemy of all.
I will kill you, Malcolm. This one will shock even you.
Ken Howard, Ulterior Motives. Premiering Tuesday on Showtime. Welcome to Diggstown, a place where only two things are sacred.
Two things we never joke about here in Diggstown, Mr. Kane. Our boxing and our betting.
It's the perfect place to set up a master con.
You want to bet? Let's bet. I need 1-5, Victor. $1.5 million, Victor. Or I forfeit and you can kill me right now.
But would you bet your life on a 48-year-old washed-up retired boxer?
You!
James Woods and Lou Gossett Jr. have everything to lose in Diggstown. Premiering this month on Showtime.
USA Today says a new star is about to be born.
Oh, you're so kind.
And her name is Brett Butler.
It don't get no better than this.
Before you see her new ABC series, check out her stand-up on Showtime.
I've lived quite a life.
She's Southern.
I was born in Alabama and raised in Georgia. I'm so Southern, I'm related to myself.
She's sassy.
I knew it wouldn't work. I used to introduce him as my first husband while we were still together.
She's slick.
I think we need a revolution, but I am so scared I couldn't find good moisturizer after one happens.
Brett Butler can do no wrong in The Child Ain't Right. Premiering Monday at 10:35, 9:35 Central, only on Showtime.
Bill Harris in Hollywood, and it's getting steamy here at Showtime. One reason is the Academy Award nominee who first hit it big on the big screen, creating an unforgettable transsexual football star in the world, according to Garp. The next year, John Lithgow was Oscar-nominated again, this time opposite Deborah Winger, in Terms of Endearment. This summer, Lithgow's back, leading the bad guys against Sylvester Stallone in Cliffhanger. And now it all heats up in a brand new Showtime original movie. Rosanna Arquette and Kevin Anderson join John Lithgow, caught up south of the border in a web of murder, mystery, romance, and danger in The Wrong Man.
Americana!
I'd like to hear about the time you said art and reality mixed, when you're on an airplane, Footloose is playing, a movie in which you appear, and a young child is sitting in front of you.
Oh, it was wonderful. Actually, it's the only time I've been on an airplane where one of my films was showing. And this 4-year-old boy was in the seat right in front of me, and his mother nudged him at one point and said, "The man in the movie is sitting right in back of you." And this little boy, every time I would appear up on the screen, he would like look back and then look at the screen and look back. It was it was wonderful to see a young person sort of working it all out. The difference between reality and artifice. I still haven't worked it out.
Now, in Cliffhanger, big screens coast to coast, you were one of the good bad guys.
Thank you.
Weren't you pleased? I mean, you were good evil.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Is it true that your 9-year-old son, that Nathan, was just out of camera range giving Dad advice on his big scene with Sly?
Absolutely true, absolutely. It was a wonderful time in both our lives. He stayed with me for about 6 weeks in Italy while we were making the film. And during that time, I only worked about half the time, so we sort of did Italy together. But when we did the big fight scene, Sly and me, it took about 2 weeks to shoot on the soundstage. He would sit there and he would watch carefully, and he had this thing that I grimaced too much. He said, and he would sort of pantomime and semaphore, "Dad." You know, he would sort of indicate.
Was he right?
Well, I do grimace too much.
Okay. We're real proud of a new Showtime original movie, John Lithgow, Kevin Anderson, Rosanna Arquette starring, but it's hard to describe. Try to summarize what happens in The Wrong Man.
Well, it's kind of blend between, I don't know, one of John Huston's great Mexican movies, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Rosanna and I play this unlikely married couple, these two kind of self-exiled gringos in Mexico. I'm a two-bit smuggler, embezzler who fails at everything, including petty crime. And the two of us, we pick up Kevin Anderson, or he hides out in our car. He's running from the law in Mexico.
I watched the first 15 or 20 minutes and said to friends right away, this movie's going to raise eyebrows. Do you agree?
Yeah, oh yes. Well, it's a very, it cuts very close to the bone. It's very raunchy, for one thing. I mean, that's one thing everybody is noticing right away, is there's very kind of down and dirty sex in it. It's directed by Jim McBride, who's just great at that, if you remember The Big Easy.
Sure.
And I find it terribly moving. I find my own character, who is a loudmouth, brutal, racist man, I find him very touching. And you actually feel for his feelings.
You don't believe him, Alex, do you? You know why he's saying this, don't you?
Yeah, I know. And I don't believe him.
But he does believe me. He knows you're no damn good. If I was your age, Alex, I'd just open up that door and tell her to get lost. I'm getting old. I don't like to be alone. Not anymore. She's a floozy, but I need her around.
The movie is really about the dynamics among the three of us, the psychosexual dynamics. And underneath it all is the murder mystery, because a murder did take place.
Very definitely.
One of us is a killer, and I'll say no more.
How many people do you think will see the plot twists that are coming in The Wrong Man? It really surprises
Hopefully nobody. I mean, I remember reading it, and it surprised me. It's buried so deep. In a way, you become so fascinated with the characters that you forget the plot. And when the plot kicks in, it's a wonderful shock.
But some things when you're researching really jump out at you. And there was a John Lithgow quote that said, I don't believe in actors doing commercials. Actors should not sell things.
Well, I mean, like everything else I've ever said, I've gone back on it. I've tried and tried to get commercials my whole career. I mean, there have been, probably when I made that remark, it was after about 4 years of hearing the word no. It's very easy to stay uncorrupted if you're never asked. But I mean, in the last few years, doing voiceovers for commercials has become a prestige item. Michael Douglas, Donald Sutherland, Jack Lemmon, Gene Hackman, they're all doing it. I'm on my knees for one of these, but no.
You haven't done your first one yet?
I haven't gotten one yet. I don't do commercials.
Don't miss John Lithgow, Rosanna Arquette, and Kevin Anderson in Showtime's brand new, steamy, psychosexual drama, The Wrong Man. With our thanks to John and to you, I'm Bill Harris in Hollywood. We'll talk again.
Hello, I'm Faye Summerfield, and it's that time of the month.
Hang on to your couch potatoes as Showtime spoofs reality TV with a monster of all magazine shows. From a big-time story from hell.
How do you run from evil when there's no place to hide? The Granny.
To a killer nose job as a motive for murder.
I am known as the Rodan of rhinoplasty.
Get your butt out of the house before it's too late!
From David Jeplin, creator of Public Enemy #2, nothing's what it seems, except maybe a little
lowbrow titillation.
With Shelley Long in a tongue-in-cheek crusade against
explicit sex and violence.
From a rapacious reverend.
I was laying hands upon this child to heal her. Heal ye.
To TV's most lecherous cartoon show.
You haven't lived, so you made it with 2 hamsters on a treadmill.
Hey, Smell, he's got a gun!
It's an hour of
mayhem, nudity, and gore.
Starring Shelley Long, Stephanie Hodge, Greg Evigan, Martin Mull, Robert Pastorelli, Julia Duffy, Chris Lemmon, Nora Dunn, Robert Hayes, and Professor Irwin Corey. Sex, shock, and censorship in the 90s. Premiering Friday, September 10th at 10:30 p.m., 9:30 Central, only on Showtime.
Part man.
These people are innocent.
Part machine.
I must follow orders.
All warrior.
Raider.
A deluxe model.
Zero 44, status report.
Of a dead soldier.
They're on fire.
Prepare for break-in ram. But old hostilities, I'm giving the orders from now on, remain.
There must be a tracking device on me.
Waiting to erupt. Run! In a battle of strength and steel. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, Universal Soldier. Premiering Sunday, September 26th at 9 p.m., 8 Central.
This is your 90-second all-news channel update on Showtime.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stan Turner. Residents of North Carolina's Outer Banks are adding up their losses from Hurricane Emily. The fierce storm battered the island chain last night with 100-mile-per-hour winds. Emily headed back out to sea, sparing the mainland. 3 patients are dead after fire sweeps through a New York City hospital. 50 other patients and 5 firefighters were hurt in the 3-alarm blaze. Officials say a faulty respirator might have sparked the fire. John Demjanjuk will be allowed to return to the U.S. A federal court has ruled that Demjanjuk can return after he was partially cleared of Nazi war crimes. The government says it won't appeal the decision, but the Justice Department will try to revoke his citizenship. The Pentagon unveils its long-range plan for the military. Defense Secretary Aspen says it emphasizes the country's ability to project power abroad. Aspen says the new program cuts the armed forces less than previously suggested. One of the 2 Los Angeles police officers acquitted of beating Rodney King is fighting to get his job back. Theodore Brasino has been on unpaid administrative leave for more than 2 years. LAPD officials say Brasino should not be reinstated because he lacks credibility. On Wall Street, stocks slip in active trading, the Dow losing 6 points. And that's our report for now. Thank you for joining us.
This has been an all-news channel update on Showtime.
Showtime invites you to the ultimate film lovers evening. It starts with The Player. Then, director Robert Altman talks about filmmaking and Hollywood.
A movie star playing a television star. Mrs. Robinson has a stroke.
They're in the marketing business. They're making films, and they're in this high competition. Every day, you see what the top grossing film was. They're not telling you how good the film was. They're telling you how much money it made.
In Hollywood, 1 minute you're hot, then you're not.
You can't make a deal, that's what they say. Yesterday's news.
The police came to see you about this dead writer.
I can write. What can you do?
You're not guilty, are you? It's taking a whole different spin on normally what are melodramatic, ordinary film situations.
Showtime brings you a story about Hollywood from the inside as you've never seen it.
I'm just trying to get the illusion of reality.
Tim Robbins, Greta Scacchi, Whoopi Goldberg, and cameo appearances by Cher, Nick Nolte, Angelica Houston, Andy McDowell, Terry Garr, Burt Reynolds, and most of the rest of Hollywood. The Player. Then, after the movie, get an inside look at Hollywood as director Robert Altman discusses his personal perspective on movie making. The Player, followed by private screening with Robert Altman. Premiering Saturday at 9, 8 Central, only on Showtime.
It's showtime for classic mystery with 90s sizzle. Fallen Angels continues with the frightening Framus.
I don't believe I know that word.
Directed by Tom Cruise, he was a grifter with a scam to double their money.
It's a first-class Framus.
But he was outconned. When he hit the road, he came upon some dangerous curves.
Do you know anyone who can help me cash them?
But the girl of his schemes had some plans of her own.
She was 110 pounds of pure rat poison. I didn't want to be the rat.
He tried to give her the slip. Instead, he got the shaft.
I don't have the 50,000.
What do you mean you don't have the 50,000?
If it wasn't for bad luck,
I've been lied to, laughed at, cut up, humiliated, and cheated.
he wouldn't have any luck at all. Peter Gallagher, Isabella Rossellini, Fallen Angels, premiering Sunday night at 11:10 Central, only on Showtime.
Coming up tonight at 10, see Kiefer Sutherland and Forrest Whitaker in the Showtime original movie, Last Light. Then at 11:45, Talk to Me, Baby, A Red Shoe Diary. And on Showtime late night at 12:20, Carnal Crimes. Tomorrow at 8, see Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey in Beaches. Then at 10:05, Joe Mantegna in Fallen Angels.